Hi, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Harry.
And today we're going to give an overview of the Pixel 9 Pro Fold and kind of give you an idea of how you might be able to use this as a musician. First, we're going to show you what it looks like and give you an idea of how the phone works. So just to give you an idea with a phone that you might know a little bit better, I have the iPhone 13 Pro.
And here's the Pixel 9 Pro Fold.
So you can kind of see how they stack up side by side. Mine's a little, I guess, shorter and stouter, and his is a little taller and thinner.
This phone on the exterior display is the same size as the Pixel 9 Pro. So in addition to having the full outer display on this phone, if you open it up and unfold it, you've got the full inner display.
So how does it feel to fold this phone?
So it's pretty easy to fold and unfold. The hinge does have some resistance. You can see that it stops anywhere when you fold it or unfold it. Mostly closed, mostly open. It does have more resistance than you would expect, I think, for a folding phone. It had, when I first tried it, it was a little harder to move, but it's definitely not hard to move at all. It's very fluid and easy to open and close.
Do you feel like it's gotten any weaker since you got it?
No. I mean, I think the hinge is strong.
I haven't had it for long, so I don't
know. I have had it for about a month. But
yeah.
No, the hinge feels strong. It doesn't feel weak at all.
So how does a case work with this phone?
So because the phone folds in half, you can't really have a case that wraps around the hinge part of the phone. So the case actually comes in two parts. You've got the front part of the case, which actually uses some adhesive on the front to stay on. I haven't had any problems with that coming off. And then you've got the back part of the case, which is like a regular case, basically, for the back half of the phone. But you can see with the phone half folded, you can see the front part of the case on this side, back part of the case on this side. Mm-hmm. The back part of the case does come off without the front part of the case. So you can see I can take the whole back off, and the front part of the case is still on there.
It really looks like a Nintendo DS. Every time I see it just sitting on the coffee table, I think that it's just a DS sitting there, and I really want to pick it up and play some games. Look at this. It's a DS.
You can't use it as a DS.
Yeah.
Because Androids are better than iPhones. Just saying.
Okay. So I know in the past when I've seen videos of other folding phones, like ones that were made prior to this one, the crease seems really, really noticeable in both the videos, and I think I saw a Samsung model in Costco once. So how is it on this phone?
So I would say actually, after seeing a few phones in person and then seeing this one, I would actually say that the crease is a little more present on this phone than some other phones I've seen. I have seen advertising for the newer Samsung folding phones, was advertising that those creases were actually less present than some in the past. I don't think this phone is the case, and so I'm going to show you guys. So you can see the crease pretty strongly with the phone being kind of half folded. When you open it up, it's mostly the same. So you can see the crease is fairly present on there. I will say that there's actually, in addition to being able to see the crease in the phone, you can actually feel right in the middle of the screen, there's a really small bump. There must be some kind of externals in the middle. And so you can feel it if you run your finger over it. It's not a problem, just something that I'd never noticed before on a different folding phone. So yeah, the crease is definitely noticeable in the phone. Does it bother me? Not really. Might it bother some other people? It's possible. But I haven't really found that it annoys me or causes any problems.
Next, we're going to show you a couple music apps. The first one is going to be Tonal Energy. So you can see from the metronome right up here that it looks pretty normal. Let's open up the phone next and show what it looks like full screen. This app works really well with the folding phone. It seems to be pretty well optimized for it. Everything works just the same as you'd expect from Tonal Energy. It's one of my favorite tuning apps and metronome apps. If you'd like to see more Tonal Energy, I think I've made 2 videos on it now, and they'll be linked up in the eye. And just to do our due diligence, I will practice tuning with this. Works totally how you'd expect. Next up, we're going to take a look at the built-in voice recorder app.
So the voice recorder app on the Google phones have a few cool features. So in addition to the built-in microphone, you can also use a Bluetooth or external microphone. You can change the recording to be either mono or stereo if you need that. You can tag your recordings by location. So if you like to record at a recording studio and you want to search by location, you can see all your recordings from just that place. In addition to that, you can also have the recorder transcribe the words that you're saying. So if you're using this more for maybe a lecture recital or some kind of lecture that has music in it, it can actually separate the recording out and show you when there's music and when there's speaking, and it will transcribe the words. It can also, if you have multiple people speaking or recording, it can label those people, like person 1, person 2. So if you're the kind of person that likes to use a voice recorder for class or a lecture, Your recorder can actually show you the different people speaking the recording, so label as speaker number 1, speaker number 2, etc. The recorder also has what's called keyword scrolling. If it hears you talking about a new topic in the recording, then it'll save that as a keyword, and later you can search through the recording and look for different keywords.
Next up, we're going to try recording some viola and see what the sound quality is like. So we just sat the phone on my desk, like right below where the camera is, about, I would say, like 2.5 to 3 feet away from where I'm sitting, and it's just a little bit lower than my f-holes right now. So we'll see how this sounds.
You can see in the recording that it has blue for the speaker and orange for the music.
Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets, baby. Love the Mets. Even Google's a Mets fan.
I'm going to record again.
Maybe something really high up. Just like a held note with vibrato. I don't know, just for the range. Maybe do like some volume, like a big high volume, low volume.
So we just sat the phone on my desk, like right below where the camera is, about, I would say, like 2.5 to 3 feet away from where I'm sitting, and it's just a little bit lower than my f-holes right now. So we'll see how this sounds.
Maybe something really high up. Just like a held note with vibrato. I don't know, just for the range. Maybe do like some volume, like a big high volume, low volume.
It seemed like it recorded the tone of the viola pretty well, but when I went up to that full crescendo, it clipped just a little bit. A little bit of that was scratchiness of my viola just because I was playing really, really hard on the C string, but a bit of that was just that like clicking that you hear when it clips.
We'll say that if you were going to record music, a longer piece or a long recording, you probably wouldn't keep the phone this close to record it. Yeah. But if you were going to read music off of the phone and record at the same time, you wouldn't want the phone to be that far away. So it is something to keep in mind. If you have the phone on a stand and you're standing right in front of the stand, may clip a little bit if you're playing very loud.
I think that's just a general phone microphone thing, or even like iPads and other tablets. You don't want to record with it that close to you. It's just not going to be that great. And they're not the highest quality anyway. If you want to make good recordings, you should try to find an external microphone.
Which is why it's great it has an option to connect an external microphone.
Exactly. Next, we'll show a bit of mobile sheets and find out if you can read sheet music off of this phone. So if you're not already familiar, Mobile Sheets is a really popular sheet music reading app for Android and really just anything that's not iOS, although it is now available on iOS.
Sorry.
Many people who use iOS go to Forscore because for a long time that was our only real like big option, and I think that it's still the best. I have tons of videos on Forscore, but we did make a video on a little bit on Mobile Sheets when we looked at your Surface Book Pro 3.
Surface Book 3.
Surface Book 3, yeah. So if you'd like to see how Mobile Sheets works on that, you can watch that. That's from a couple of years ago, and I think the Surface Book, does it get updates anymore, or is it running out soon?
I believe it's no longer being supported soon.
Yeah, I can't believe how short of a time frame that is.
Yeah, and
like on Apple, I would have things from like 10 years ago and it still gets updates. So it's really disappointing.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest, Mobile Sheets is really terrible on the Surface Book as well.
Yeah.
Not any fault of the developer of Mobile Sheets, but it just is very laggy and does not work very well, unfortunately.
It honestly seems to be a buggy laptop. So.
Yeah, it was a waste. It was a waste
of
$2,200. Yeah.
Okay, so now for comparison, if you remember that video from a long time ago, if you've been watching for that long, thank you. But you will see how much of an improvement it is here on this little phone. Okay, it's not little. It's a big phone.
It is very thin though.
It's a big phone, but compared to that huge tablet,
it is very thin though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like...
And it's very light, right?
Yeah. It's fairly, I believe 252 grams. Don't ask how I remember that, but...
I want to compare. Okay, yeah, I think it's just a tiny bit heavier than my iPhone 13 Pro. So let's take a look at the sizing of mobile sheets on this phone. Okay, so we pulled up a viola piece. It's Mark from Billeter, which is Fairy Tales by Schumann. It's a piece that I learned my freshman year of college, so I know it, but I don't like have it memorized or anything. We chose a piece that like I have to read the music for. It's not like Bach where I could just go on autopilot. So we have the phone folded right now. Here you can see the size of the music.
So if you tried to read it with the phone closed, like a normal phone, basically impossible with the size of the music. So.
And that's just, you know, what you would expect on any phone. So now let's fold it out and see what it looks like. Much better.
I will say, because the screen is still not full tablet size, when I use it for music, I really like to zoom in as much as physically possible. That includes cutting off the clef. So if you play an instrument where the clef might changes a lot, might not work for you. For me,
that is a concern for viola.
And actually for bass too, it can be a problem because we read the three clefs: bass, treble, and tenor. But I find that if I know the music well enough, I know when the clef changes.
Yeah. I personally would not really use this for music that I didn't know very well. You know, maybe if you're in a pinch and you're like, oh, I have this big phone, I can pull up music. That might be really handy in a gig or something. Like if someone loses music and you've got this, that could be a really good backup plan. So here's the size difference between my iPad Pro 12.9 inch and Harry's phone.
The display on the Pixel 9 Pro Fold inner display is 8 inches.
Okay. So it goes up like a little over halfway. There's kind of an idea of how they stack up.
Clearly not as big of a screen, but
Obviously
much more
not.
portable.
Yeah.
And it acts as a real phone.
Yeah. So now I'm going to test playing off this. I have my stand set up right here. Basically as far as I would normally put it. And I'm looking at the third movement, Rush. And this movement always gave me a lot of trouble. It's a lot, you can see it in the screen recording, but it's a lot of changing, just triplet, almost arpeggios. So I'm gonna have to look really closely at the notes for the little changes that happen. So I could read that sheet music really well. I mean, some orchestra music is sometimes smaller than what I'm reading right now. The thing is that depending on the edition of music and like what PDF you have, you might run in you might find that like the cropping doesn't work well because you can't see the whole page. So I think it's not really a concern of being able to read the music, although, you know, I wear glasses, so with my glasses I can see things really well. But I think the concern is more just having page turns more often. And also our next point that we're going to talk about, which is that there's no stylus compatibility.
So unlike some of the newer Samsung folding phones that do have built-in stylus support, the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold does not have built-in stylus support.
And by stylus, we mean like a, not quite Bluetooth, but like an Apple Pencil, where it has this electronic connection. And so you get a lot of palm rejection there. So you can put your palm on the tablet and write, and it doesn't, you know, your palm doesn't interfere with what you're writing. It only picks up the things that you're writing. So we kind of have to go back to the old days before iPads had those pens and before, you know, everything else had their own pens, and try little styluses that that act like fingers.
So this is actually a stylus this was when you started using your first iPad before you got the iPad Pro?
I had the iPad Air 2, I think.
And so this is just one of those basic generic Amazon ones. So it does have the clear end on this stylus, which is nice because you can kind of see through and see what you're writing better, but it doesn't mask the fact that there is no palm rejection. And if you want to write on the screen, you need to have your hand hovering over the screen, because if your palm touches it, you're going to get multiple touches and it's not going to work properly. So let's say I wanted to make these chords all down bows. So change these two up bows to down bows. So I want to do that. I can either use the stylus or my finger because the phone thinks it's the same thing. I'll press this, go over here, and now with the pen tool, I can change these over to down bows. It is nice because you can zoom in very closely, but you can see my finger does the same exact thing as the stylus. Same thing. And so if you try to write with your hand flat on the device, it is very weird. It doesn't work properly. You can see it's not picking up it very well. It's kind of worked now. If I reseat my hand, now it's messing with the zoom very weirdly. But if you're careful, as long as you keep your hand off of the phone, you can still write your down bows and whatever else you need to. I was supposed to say swell. But so you can see, even though I also have terrible handwriting, it's also hard to write when you're not resting your palm on the phone.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like the size is like the size of the notes and the lines themselves, not the overall area of it. I feel like it's kind of comparable to a lot of orchestra music where, you know, it's like tight and compact and like you have to squint a little bit sometimes. I did not have to squint for this. Maybe it's the fact that it's bright and like I can really see it vibrantly. So, you know, if you're writing in orchestra music like that, there's only so large that you can write. So I don't think it's that much of a problem, really. I again think that it's more just the writing itself, like how you have to write, and just the fact that there are a lot of page turns and being a little afraid of all of those like multi-page page turns.
Since this is a modern phone, came out in 2024, it supports all Bluetooth pedals and anything by Bluetooth. But because of the screen size, you're fitting the same size of notes that you would, for example, an iPad on a smaller screen. That's going to mean more page turns, more coordinating your page turns with your playing. Some people don't like doing page turn, including myself. And so it's more risk when you're playing. Are you going to miss a page turn if you're playing an intense part of the music?
I don't mind doing the page turns, but the idea of multi-page page turns where you're going from top of the page to bottom, it always kind of worries me in important situations, like at a gig or a recital.
Or any kind of high stakes
like
performance.
Yeah. So as a musician, what do you plan to do on your phone?
So I use the phone for a lot of different things, music related. So I have the option to read music for my students' lessons on the phone if I don't want to hover over them when they're playing, especially as a bass player. They need a lot of room so they don't get stabbed with their bows, which does happen.
It's happened to me on viola.
So I do sometimes use the phone opened up in the unfolded mode to read the music that they're playing so that I can follow along without having to hover over them.
And it's easier to hold and just maneuver than your laptop, I assume.
Yes, it's a lot easier to move my laptop as compared, even with just the screen portion of it. It's a lot heavier. I do also use, as an orchestra teacher at a high school, I do like to use my phone for recording my class when we're playing or preparing for a concert. So I do use the phone as a tuner and metronome basically every day with my classes. In my class, the first thing we do in every orchestra class is we tune. So I'll open up Tonal Energy, start up a drone with the sound playback, use that for my class. One of the main reasons why I bought this phone was that I was hoping to use it almost kind of as a laptop replacement at school. I have to do a lot of moving between my desk and the stand at the front of the classroom. And it's really annoying to move my laptop back and forth because I have to plug in all the cables and unplug the cables. So I like to use my phone kind of as a laptop replacement by plugging in a USB-C to HDMI dongle. That lets me project my phone to the projector screen in the classroom, and I can use it basically as a computer. So if I need to play a YouTube video for my students or show them a piece of music, if we're doing score study.
So are you happy with your phone? Do you regret your purchase?
I'm happy with it. I don't regret it at all. I think it's really worth having. I did get a really good trading deal for my old phone, another Google phone. Battery was really bad. It was kind of falling apart. And I did get some good pre-order deals with it. I think that if you asked me if I would pay full price for the phone, I think that's a no. I like the uses that I have for it, but after having it for a month, I think that if I was going to make the decision again, I would probably just spend the money on a cheaper phone and some kind of tablet, like an iPad Air 13-inch.
What is the full price of this phone again?
I was hoping to not have to say it. So the phone is $1,800 or $1,799 USD. Not sure about prices for other countries. Pretty steep. Like I said, got a good deal, got a good pre-order bonus, saved a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
But for that much money, I think you could spend, if you really wanted a pro phone, you could spend, $1,000 on a phone and then still have $800 to spend on a tablet, which could get you, I don't know how much the iPad Air 13-inch costs.
I don't remember.
Could probably
I think
get
it starts
you.
at like 800 or
Could
so.
probably get you an iPad Air 13-inch. You might have to spend a little more to get the Apple Pencil and a case and everything else you would need, especially if you're going to use it in a teaching environment. But I think that cost would be worth it. It does have a lot of uses besides the music. I do use apps side by side a lot more than I thought I would. But there are also some days where I don't open the phone up at all. where I just use it as a normal phone and don't have any use for the inside screen. So I think if you're the kind of person that knows that you would use that big screen for multitasking a lot, or watching media, or doing things like that, where you can utilize the full screen as often as possible, then I think it's a no-brainer. But if you're on the fence, if you're not sure if you would use it that often, then I wouldn't be so sure. I find myself somewhere in the middle. I use it a lot on some days, then I might not use it again for a few days.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Alright, so thank you for watching our overview of the Pixel 9 Pro fold phone. I hope it gave you some good ideas and gave you kind of an idea of what this phone is actually like. If you'd like to see a full review of this phone or anything else on the phone, we would be happy to make it. Just let us know what you might like to see and we'll add it to our video list.
Smash that subscribe button. Smash it so hard it's like you subscribed twice. It's so stupid, I'm sorry. See ya.